The Stanley Cup has been awarded, so you know what that means. It's all about the NHL draft for the next few days until it actually happens. We here at Broad Street Hockey have been doing so much draft content for you guys. Just check out the YouTube, check out broadstreethockey.com for different profiles of players. On the YouTube, we're doing watch-alongs and streams and everything like that, reacting to the draft. But here we're going to be doing something different. We're reacting to mock drafts from prospect experts, other writers, people that pay attention to the draft generally. Basically, any mock draft that's a little teensy bit reputable, we're going to be reacting to who they have the Flyers picking in the first round of the 2025 NHL draft later this month. Before we get to the mock draft, just like and subscribe this video. It really helps out the channel and Broad Street Hockey overall. Every dollar that you potentially subscribe to the site with us, every little click of a like that helps algorithms and discoverability for us. It really helps out just because we're just doing our own thing over here. So give that thing a whole ass like and just hit the subscribe button. It's easy. We're going to be doing so much of this, so you might want to tune in. Of course, the Flyers have their own pick. That's at 6th overall. Then they have the Colorado Avalanche's pick. That will be at 22nd overall. And then now, because the Edmonton Oilers lost in the Stanley Cup Finals to the Florida Panthers, they have the 31st pick, which is Edmonton's pick. These mocks assumed that the Oilers were going to win for some reason, so they're all slotted at 32. Not sure if that changes anything. It basically would only mean if the Flyers, if they think the Flyers were going to take the person that they took at 31 with Florida's pick. I don't know if it makes all that difference, but it's going to say 32, but the really the Flyers have 31st overall. So let's get through some of the NHL.com's mock drafts that they've been putting out. So it's just been Adam Kimmelman over there and Mike Morial. I'm not sure if I'm saying his last name right, but that's who've been doing the mock drafts. And so let's look through look through Kimmelman's first. So at 6th overall, he has them taking James Higgins. Then 22nd, they have Cameron Reed, the defenseman out of Kitchener. And then wrapping it all up, 32nd overall, goaltender Jack Ivankovich. Overall, this class, I really like the Higgins and the Cam Reed picks. Cam Reed is an offensive driver and a really good passer, possibly one of the best passers aside from Schaefer on the blue line in this class. And then Higgins up top is just a big swing for potential and upside. And at least you're getting a center or a forward that is top 6. Kind of, you could just put him in there and not set him, forget it. He's playing at BC next season. Just let him go. Let him run wild with Teddy Stigo over there. That's all good. The interesting thing is the Ivankovich selection. He's a small goaltender, which most people wouldn't even first put in the first round, no matter what. So that is a little bit of a question mark for me. I'm not sure what he's thinking, but similarly, as we move on to the other NHL.com mock draft with Mike Morial's, it's a theme that the Flyers are apparently taking goaltender 32nd overall, 31st, whatever. Morial has Jake O'Brien going to the Flyers at 6th, Daniil Prokhorov at 22, and then Joshua Ravensbergen. And let's kind of start from the end. Joshua Ravensbergen has been the more heralded first-round potential goaltender out of the two. Ivankovich is the smaller, whatever, probably dropping to the late second, early third, maybe late third round. But Ravensberger is more set to be, I wouldn't be surprised if he's a first-round pick. Possibly his like floor of being selected is a top 50 pick. Some team is going to go by past his stats, whatever. They've been kind of mediocre in the WHL for the Prince George Cougars, but his tools of being 6'4" and mobile and athletic, it's just enticing enough for a team to take that goalie. And let's now flip it, start over. Jake O'Brien at 6. I think it's a very interesting option. For Morial's mock draft, he had Higgins going at 5 and Caleb Doignoyer at 4, Anton Frendel at 3, Misa Schaefer. So really, in this scenario, they're choosing between Martone and O'Brien, which makes sense. And obviously, the Flyers need centers, so it's that instant reaction of like, oh, they take the center, and it might be a reality on draft day. Martone's great, but O'Brien has a decent ceiling with a real smart playmaking tool. If he increases his weight, maybe like gains 20 pounds of muscle, but he's 6'4", so his frame can definitely use it. And his skating could use a little bit of a help to help his transition game, but he's a very pass first guy, which I don't love looking at that in the draft of being like, can you shoot the puck? Will that be an issue when you make the NHL? But for now, let's just see how it is. Now, moving away from NHL.com, let's get to the Athletic. So they've been pumping out mock drafts basically every week. It's been mock draft of who's the most playoff ready, mock draft of after the combine, before the combine, mock draft before the playoffs, mock draft before World Juniors, all these things. So this is the latest as of recording. Let's look at Scott Wheeler's first. So Scott Wheeler had a mock draft just after the combine about a week ago. This is dating the video. I'm sorry. He has James Higgins going to the Flyers at 6, Jack Nesbitt, tall ass center out of Windsor, going to Flyers at 22. Then Shane Van Saggy, Michigan State winger, coming to the Flyers at 32. If the Flyers were to take these 3 players, I think it would be basically addressing a lot of their forward needs. I assume that the Flyers are going to take a blue liner somewhere in that first round with the 3 picks, especially if they take all 3 picks. So with it all being forwards, you would still need a variety of tools. And I think Wheeler kind of does this for the Flyers and matches it decently well. James Higgins, I've already said it, you're taking a swing. Great center, great option at 6. Potential to be one of the better skilled forwards out of this draft, potentially the most skilled forward, even with if you don't mind his size being 5'10" and a half, 5'11". And then Nesbitt is a 6'4" center out of the Windsor Spitfires, and he doesn't have a whole lot of point totals this season. He's basically just been a point per game, and he plays a very slow paced style to his game. But overall, teams would probably see that big body and see a decent passer in the end and potential to be a middle 6 center as a ceiling. If you're getting that in the late round, big body, potential to just like sit there, set it, forget it, kind of player, kind of centerman, penalty killer, all that stuff. Potential for more offense. Some people see it, some people don't. If you're getting that 22, there's higher upside swings for sure, but it's, again, if you're already going for the swing at Higgins, you might as well get some security with Nesbitt later. And then finally rounding it off with Shane Van Saggy. And I think this is a mix of 2. I think Van Saggy isn't a great skater, but he has the motor and the tenacity and everything that you want in a middle 6, hard forechecking winger. Van Saggy provides. He's going to be playing for Michigan State on a very good team. Be basically a complimentary grinding type of player, but he can definitely put the puck in the back of the net consistently as well. So there's a mix of tools there. I think Van Saggy is one of the more intriguing players, especially for that grinding role. You think of Bill Zanon, Brady Martin, you're thinking of hard-nosed players. I think Van Saggy is right up there at the top with them. And if you get that in the late round, I think that's a pretty good player that you're getting. And he's already playing college, so I think he's a step above other players in that realm of the draft of the first round. Now, a little bit ago, The Athletic also put out a mock draft with all their staff. So people were assigned teams. Usually the beat writers of said team would be going through and making those picks, or if they didn't have a beat writer for that team, it'd be like a national writer, whatever. So Kevin Kurz made all the 3 picks for this Athletic staff mock draft. He has 6 going to the Flyers is Porter Martone, 22 Nesbitt. Kind of already said my spiel on that. And then at 32, Will Horkoff. I kind of want to save the best for last in this scenario, but let's talk about Will Horkoff. He's a very interesting player, and I think he's a very good option to have for the Flyers at the late round or early in the second, like they have a lot of picks for. I think Horkoff is a very interesting player. He jumped to the University of Michigan Wolverines mid-season from the national program, but he's a 6'4" center that has shown decent skating and potential in his offensive game. I think I like him a little bit more than Nesbitt just because he's already playing college and that development path is clear and straightforward. And he scored at a decent pace for Michigan in that last half of the season. So Horkoff, I think, is a very interesting option if you're to go with a big body, and it's not the worst scenario of you're just getting a big player for the sake of getting a big player. When it comes to Nesbitt, we've already said it. I think there are tools there, but at 22, it's a little bit rich. If you swapped the picks, I think Horkoff at 22 is also still a little bit rich. So it's still addressing the same sort of player back-to-back picks in the later half of the first round, I think it's a little bit of overkill, and you're losing out on some players. And finally, the most recent mock draft that was done was Corey Pronman of The Athletic doing all 224 picks. I don't know how he does it, but I guess he's just matching player to team 224 times. So for the Flyers in the first round, we're not going to do all 11 picks that they have, but in the first round they had Jake O'Brien going to the Flyers at 6, Logan Hensler going to the Flyers at 22, and Jakubis Wozniak going to the Flyers at 32. This class is very interesting to me. I think the major standout and what might drive Flyers fans crazy is that he has O'Brien at 6 going to the Flyers, and who else was available is both James Higgins and Porter Martone, two players that are consistently ranked higher in draft rankings, but have some risks to them. And all three of them have risks, but it's different variety of risks. So it's a Higgins, it's smaller. See if his game is a little bit too perimeter for the NHL. So is he really going to be a center at the NHL? Is he going to be more of a wing? Porter Martone, it's his skating, it's his pace of play. Does he play with enough speed in his game to really make it as a top 6 winger? And if he does, is he able to be good enough at other attributes to slow the game down to keep that spot? He has potential to be there, but is he really going to hit that Blake Wheeler-esque ceiling? That's the big question. And then Jake O'Brien at 6. I think it's again, we've already talked about O'Brien, but it's a very easy bet on his playmaking, and hopefully the Flyers see that path for his development above others. They have a set, clear goal of you're going to be doing this, you're going to be doing this, you're going to be doing this, and hopefully he's going to just keep on growing. I think he probably make it to the OHL again next season, return to the Brantford Bulldogs, put up over 100 points after putting up 98 just last season, and then maybe play college after that, and then draft plus 3 season, he's making the NHL. So it's a longer development path, I think, than the other players, but it's one that could be more rewarding and more what the Flyers want in their top 6 centers. Logan Hensler at 22, I love. I think he's one of my favorite defensemen in the whole class. He just plays a safe style, but he's a little bit older. I think he's an October birthday. I should probably check that. He's an October birthday, so he's a little bit older for this draft class, so it's not the best path or bet on upside. He's a very, very good skater for his size, over 6'2", right-handed, and he plays a physical game. I think he can shut out the opponents, and he's already had a season under his belt at University of Wisconsin. So he's already playing up to a level where you could really see him make the NHL in a couple of years and not look out of place whatsoever. He could be an Oliver Bonk type player with not being Oliver Bonk, with being a better skater and already having college under his belt and more experience and playing against tougher competition. I think there's a real good ceiling to Hensler as just a steady top 4, worst case bottom pairing defenseman that isn't really available around this range. So I really like the pick. And if that player was available at 22, I think it'd be definitely someone that I would be really, really excited for the Flyers to pick. Now, Jakubis Wozniak is a fun player. I think it's a fun swing on a lot of talent. He's not the best skater. He plays more of I'm going to set up on the power play and I'm going to shoot pucks, and he has a very good shot. He needs to fill out a lot. He's still over 6 feet, but he's skinny, and lanky, and he uses that reach and general shape of his body to get his shots off well and kind of deceive opponents a lot. So I like him, but it's also there's a bunch of players I also like around 32. Like Pronman has later in his mock draft a Swedish center, Eric Nielsen I really liked going later, Ben Kindle of the Calgary Hitmen that I really like, Van Saggy, Jack Murtaugh. I think these are more safe options, but again, still more interesting to do the 32nd pick. But East Wozniak is a definitely interesting player, and I could see why the Flyers would like him and just bet on the skill as a winger. Just see if you get a scoring winger out of the 32nd overall pick. That's totally fine. So that's it. 5 mock drafts, reacted to them. What was your favorite, though? Let me know in the comments below. And I'm sure you were right, because no one really knows what the heck is going to happen at this NHL draft.